Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. It's Thursday! And you know what that means? We are about to mostly mark out for an episode of AEW's Dynamite. I'm your host, Jungle Dawn Perry, joined as always by my co host, Joshosaurus. First ever dinosaur podcaster, folks. First ever. First ever. Respect it. Okay? As mentioned,
Rawr.
that was, yes! Yes! I wrote down, hopefully, Josh Rars. I wrote that down!
Rawr. That makes you sound
As
like Beast
mentioned,
Mortos, though. Anyway, go ahead.
as mentioned, we're here to cover AEW's Dynamite for January 7th, first Dynamite of the year. Let's get into it.
Yes, let's. Happy 2026, top tier fam. We have our first podcast of the new year right here, and we're changing things up. Going forward, we're going to be covering AEW Dynamite and Collision in favor of WWE Raw and SmackDown, as WWE has become incredibly stale and AEW is popping off.
Yeah,
That said, this episode of AEW Dynamite pops off with an AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match between Jon Moxley and Shelton Benjamin. And, I don't love elimination or eliminator matches as a format.
no,
I always
no,
find it weird that a challenger or potential challenger has to beat, or in this case, I guess just hang in there for the time limit draw the champion in order to get a championship match. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
I
I
do.
feel like that sort of a thing is trying to give championship stakes without actually putting the championship on the line.
Yeah, I
So,
I don't understand it. I don't understand why that's even a thing.
yeah,
To in
yeah,
order to prove that you can win the belt off the champion, you have to beat the champion, and then you have to beat him again. Like you have to. Like, that's the weirdest thing. Like I just, of course, I can beat him. I just beat him. Can I have the belt now? Like I'm not. I'm not understanding why I
yeah,
have to do it twice.
that's how I feel
And
about it.
I feel like that gives the champion a huge advantage because now he gets to learn like what you would do in this scenario. So now he's got time to practice and
And
train
prep.
and prep to defy you. I don't like it. It's weird. Just like the concept is weird. With that being said, I'm not saying the match was bad. I'm saying that
No,
whole concept is just strange to
no, the
me.
match was actually very good. Benjamin and Moxley kind of brought it here. It was a fantastic match to start the show.
Yeah.
As predicted, Shelton Benjamin threw Moxley all over the ring and a few spots outside of it. I mean, there was so much German suplex from Benjamin to
Oh
Moxley in this
Jesus.
match
Yeah.
that I thought like Brock Lesnar was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
I think we were counting and it was something like 8 to 10 German suplexes by the end of the night.
Yeah.
Um,
He put him through his paces, man.
but to Moxley's credit, he hung in there and he didn't chip any teeth or anything. Um, if you
Dink.
know, you know. Um,
Actually, I'm liking where they're going with Moxley. Honestly, I was very confused. And the Death Riders, they're still kind of confusing. I don't know where we're going with them per se. I feel like Moxley is more defined now. I feel like Moxley has a better handle over the character that he was trying to portray, and it's really just Moxley. So it's really just how he's been in AEW, period. So he was like, oh, I just need to be that. Okay. So he's kind of done that, and everybody's on board for that. I think the fans got tired of not liking him and just started rooting for him again before he even had a little face turn. Um, I just don't know where they're going with the rest of the Death Riders because they're still kind of. I feel like Claudio is more the leader of the per se Death Riders now, and John is kind of like the mascot. Like he just kind of comes in and pep talks, and then goes off and does his own thing. Like I
Yeah,
don't even see them out there whenever he's in a match. You know what I mean? Like they don't come out there and attack anybody that he's fighting anymore.
well,
None
not
of that.
not right now, yeah, because they're trying to get Moxley back over because I mean everybody who's been watching AEW, for more than just in 2024 and 2025,
Yeah,
like we saw Moxley and he was like the hero of AEW, especially
yeah,
there when Punk was leaving. He was the
hmm,
guy. And then he did this whole Death Riders thing, and he sort of became like a caricature, like a cartoon character, like that dog that walks all bowed out trying to be a big
yes,
bully.
the little Tom
And
and Jerry dog.
the Death Riders were never super clear on what it was they were trying to do. Like there was
Nah,
some nebulous, like, we want only the people who are willing to give their lives for this sport in this ring. The problem with that is that there's nobody in AEW that was kind of living up to the problem that they suggested was there. Like everybody
yeah,
who gets in an AEW ring like goes all in and all out.
yeah,
And so there was this dissonance that created of like, well, what the Death Riders are trying to do is actually disrupting the very thing that they say they want.
yeah,
Because all they ever did was be the person that cheated their way out of matches and wins and didn't really do much but use numbers to gain an advantage, whereas everybody else was wrestling their asses off.
yeah,
And so I think they finally saw that, I guess. And then, I guess the story arc is that in the competitive, arena of the Continental Classic, John Moxley finally saw what it was he was looking for. And he wants to tap into that spirit of, y- wrestle till it kills you level of competition. And it's like, oh, okay, good. And I think the crowd's on board because you're right. I think they remember the old Moxley and they've wanted to root for him instead of him being this joke in
yeah,
the Death Riders for so long. And so it's really good to see because I mean, one, if you were a fan of John Moxley before his Death Rider stint, then you're seeing the old Moxley come back and that's fantastic. And even if you weren't, it's just good to see Moxley actually wrestling his ass off in the ring, which he's been
yeah,
doing since his participation in the Continental Classic, and it's a kind of a return to form. And so I'm here for whatever they're doing with Moxley because it's orders of magnitude better than how he was kind of floundering in the Death Riders.
yeah,
And I agree with you. I'm not sure what the point and the purpose of the Death Riders is at this juncture. I kind of thought that they might go with like Moxley has a change of heart or sees that AEW, writ large is actually accommodating whatever his view with the Death Riders was. And so there's not really a point to him anymore. And then there'd be some kind of falling out, especially when Claudio, I think, beat him in the Continental Classic match.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was going to cause some tensions, so I'm
Chest
not entirely
beatings.
sure what they're doing with the Death Riders, as you said, but
Yeah,
I am glad with what they're doing with Moxley because it
yep,
felt like the
yeah, yeah,
Death Riders, who claimed to want all elite wrestling to be about wrestlers who show up, show out, and leave it all in the ring, they were the actual biggest thing taking away from that.
yeah,
So I'm kind of glad to move on from that. But yeah, here this was a fantastic match. It really felt like the champion, Moxley, was having to just hang in there and weather the storm that was Shelton Benjamin. Like, Benjamin was ragdolling him the most of the match,
yeah,
and it finally came down to, I think Benjamin was attempting to get a triangle choke off on Moxley, who turns it into a pin and catches the win at the very last, like, 1 minute of the 20-minute time marker.
yeah. They had like 30 seconds left.
Yeah, I think it came down close to the wire. I think Excalibur mentioned that they won it at the 5 seconds remaining mark, so that was
Nice.
pretty impressive to get it that close on the timing. Um, and that's another thing that I'd like to point out. This is something that AEW is really good with. Like with the Continental Classic rules, they give it a strict 20-minute time limit, and then this elimination match, or sorry, eliminator match. All Benjamin had to do to secure a title shot was either beat Moxley or hang in there till the end of the time limits. Because if Moxley couldn't beat him in the 20 minutes, then he would qualify, I guess, for a championship match. And it came right down to the wire.
Yeah.
So that was really impressive. And on top of that, like AEW somehow is able to put on these like 20, 30, 40 to 60-minute matches. Now the 40 and 60 and 30s are a lot less frequent, but throughout the entirety of the Continental Classic, they showed that they can put on these 20-minute matches, and it doesn't, for the most part, it doesn't feel like you can tell how much time has passed. Like we watched 20 minutes worth of a wrestling match to open the show, and at no point was I sitting there going, Jesus, this thing is just dragging on.
Yeah.
It's really impressive that these performers can do 20 minutes and we don't feel every ounce of that time. Like
Yeah.
suddenly we're like, wait, what? They've already wrestled for 15 minutes? Holy crap.
Yeah, that's true. Now I don't know. I don't know if sometimes. Actually, I do. I feel like sometimes they use the time limit just for the story, which means that sometimes it's not 20 minutes, but they say like 15 minutes have passed and 5 minutes, that kind of thing. I think they're saying that more for the story, and it hasn't been that long. But most of the time, their matches are 15, 20 minutes long. When they're calling out that time, it's because that's the actual fact. And I think for that match, that was the actual fact. Like they did that superbly. And I actually don't remember a time in any other promotion where they use the timer like that for the story. Like I like the hype of that. I like, you know what I mean? I like the fact that they use that. Cause then I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna get it? Is it gonna be a tie? What's gonna happen? Like, I don't know. I think that hypes it up, and I think that gets more audience investment. Cause I am super focused, at that point, because I'm usually thinking, okay, we're about to get a tie, right? Or this dude's about to pull it out, and whenever they don't, I'm just like, so close.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah, well, because it
I'm
looked like
like
it
a kid
would,
again
right?
when I'm watching it. Yeah.
Like the match psychology of this was really good, especially for folks that were paying attention to Moxley's performance through the Continental Classic. Is that on the losing streak he had kind of prior to entering into that, he was showing that while he was difficult to pin, people were getting him to tap out left and right. So here at the 1 minute mark, you've got Shelton Benjamin, who doesn't usually use submission moves, putting
Mhm.
a triangle choke on John Moxley, and we're thinking, oh snap, he knows where Moxley's been weak of late,
Yeah, King
and
tap
so
out.
it kept it nice and tense all the way to the line. And as near as I can tell, it actually went to the 19 minutes and like 55 seconds mark. Like their timing was actually spot on. Like it really
Yeah.
was a 20-minute match.
Yeah.
And so that's impressive. One, that their control of their time seems so on point. That is one thing writ large. AEW seems to really be good at using the time that they have, and I'm more than happy to speak to that a little bit more. But the fact that they can have their match produced and planned to like the final 5 seconds of a 20-minute match is outstanding.
Yeah.
And there was a lot going on here, right? Like when you're in that last minute, it's like you said, like, oh shit, they got to really try and bring this home, or at the very least, Shelton Benjamin needs to stall him out for only like a minute. And it came down to the 5 second mark that Benjamin's got him in a submission hold that Moxley ends up reversing into a quick pin. That was phenomenal. Like this was a great
Yeah.
match to open the show, and it was just well done. Both the performers looked good, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, And Shelton Benjamin, like this was like a showcase of Benjamin just throwing another person around. And Moxley's not a little guy. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's not a small man either.
No, he
And
is not
Benjamin
small.
had no problems just yeeting him all over the ring.
Just giving him the
So
Chad Gable treatment. He was just yeeting my
seriously.
man.
So I have to say this was a really good start to the New Year Dynamite.
Yeah.
Um That said, following that match, we are shown Darby Allin um, kind of
On the
walking
hunt.
around on the hunt. And apparently he's got like this mission, right? Throughout the end of 2025, he has processionally defeated every one of the Death Riders except maybe Marina Shafir. Um and he wants to complete his collection. He is looking for the bastard pack and he wants to have a match. And so we're shown that. We're also given a brief video montage of Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement match against the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, in his final match that occurred at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom that just recently happened. And I really appreciate that AEW honors things like that and is willing to acknowledge things like that. Hiroshi Tanahashi is an absolute legend in New Japan, and he's finally bringing to an end a storied in-ring career that was actually extended in order to assist New Japan, who was feeling a little light in the talent department with so many departures to places like WWE and AEW. So, thank you, Hiroshi Tanahashi. That is the New Japan equivalent, if not bigger than, say, like John Cena's retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that, we are brought to our second match of the night, and this was a surprising one, because the way it was set up was that there has been a bounty on people like Jet Speed. And I think there was even like a brief like Renee Paquette thing where she wanted to find out the status of Jet Speed, and Don Callis and the Demand show up, and she says, "Well, yeah, we're checking on Jet Speed because someone put a bounty on their heads." And I think the the Demand and Don Callis was like, "No, there was no bounty on their heads. There was just an offer of a significant sum of money for anyone who would take them out." And she's like, "Yeah, that's literally what a bounty means." And they're like, "Oh, is that what a bounty is? Well, then, you know, it looks like we thrashed them." So we're left kind of in the dark about who is going to be joining Jack Perry in this triple threat match with the Demand, because the Don Callis family obviously took up the Demand's bounty and had smashed Jet Speed.
Yeah.
So Jack Perry comes out. I want to say he came out second after the Demand did. And the Demand, for those who aren't aware, are the Gates of Agony, which is Bishop Khan and Toa Leone, and their alliance with Ricochet, bald. And Jack Perry comes out, and the crowd is immediately singing the whole "whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." There you go. There's a little sound bite for you. Um, and I think we were like, well, who's going to make it out there? And I think you
No.
picked
I
straight
knew.
away. You were like, I think he's going to be joined by the Young Bucks. And I was like, well, that makes the most sense, unless like it turns out that the Jet Speed is not as trashed as we thought, and it ends up being the case that you were right, and we get the Young Bucks, and this isn't the corporate Young Bucks. This is Super Kick Party Young Bucks, and the crowd absolutely loses their shit over it, and they should.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks are unequivocally one of the best tag teams to ever exist in professional wrestling, like any
True.
era.
True.
They are so good. I would put them up against anybody's pick for the best tag team in the world, including FTR. Because me
Yeah.
personally, I am vastly more impressed by what the Young Bucks do in that ring than even FTR. And I'm not saying that to try and down FTR. It's just I think the Bucks are so fucking good. Um, so we end up with Jack Perry and the Young Bucks versus the Demand, and we're like, huh, I wonder how this is going to go, because I think our initial thoughts were like the Bucks are just going to eat the Demand alive, and the Demand's going to have to cheat to win, and we, or at least I, was dead wrong on that one. The Demand really stepped up in this match, and this was
Yeah.
without any stakes, no triples championship on the line. Maybe this is to like work your way up the ladder towards that triples championship, but we are given one of the best matches. Like the Bucks and Perry were like, let's start 2026 off by having match of the year in the first freaking days of 2026. And so, yeah, this ends up being an incredible match. Both of these teams really brought it. And it highlights a signature strength of AEW, which has been their multi-man matches. So this, with 6 men in the ring, it ends up being a high spot after high spot fiesta between these two teams,
Yeah.
um, with some amazing spots. And
Yeah.
I really feel like in this match, all of the team's stock rose. Like
Right.
nobody
Yeah.
looked bad. Like the Bucks are
Mm-mm.
already sitting at the top of the pile. They're legendary. They like them and Kenny Omega are like the guys.
Yeah.
And but Jack Perry's stock goes up here, Ricochet's stock goes up here, and the Gates of Agony's stock goes way up here.
Way up. Way up. They were extremely impressive. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but by all means, I think I've generally given kind of my thoughts here. How did you feel about this match?
I at first thought, because I mean, I knew when Jack Perry was coming out and Jet Speed would not be able to make it. I knew then that it was going to be the Young Bucks. I mean, that was just the most logical choice for Jack Perry, right? But the first thing I thought was, uh how is GOA gonna look? Because I think I'd have to agree with you. I thought they were gonna get ruffle stumped. I thought the Young Bucks were gonna hand them their ass. Because they were too quick, they were too well organized, too coordinated with each other. Um, and I thought they were gonna play into the GOA being big and dumb,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
Toa. Um, because you know what, I have to get out of the mindset because that I don't really think they do that here in AEW. So I gotta kind of get out of that mindset. I think of expecting to see the bigger wrestlers be dumb and slow, that kind of thing. Um, because that's not necessarily the case. Like that's not how they sell Brody at all. But
no,
here, none of that took place. All you got were four men, and I know that there was uh Ricochet and Jack Perry, but I'm talking in this case, I'm talking about the two quote unquote tag teams. Okay, here, so Young Bucks versus GOA, and you got a fucking awesome match between the two. There was no there was fantastic give and take here. There was no one team that was like dominating the other. Uh they were given as good as they got, and
yep,
it was amazing. Like when you say they really stepped up, when you say that their stock was really elevated, it really went up. I absolutely agree with you because they earned that. Like they looked fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the veterans in this match are going to be the Bucks and Ricochet, right?
Of course, yeah.
And those 3 men absolutely elevated the other 3 men who, I'm not saying that they're bad or anything, but they're clearly less veteran than like Ricochet and the Bucks.
Mhm.
And man, Ricochet made his opponents look so good. And that's on top of being able to flawlessly execute any of his own offense. Like Ricochet so easily jumps out of the ring or sells a move like in an absurd kind of but still believable, right? But it's like he makes the move that he receives look devastating, and then he'll turn around
Yeah.
and do like a 450, um using the top rope, you know springboard 450 is what I'm trying to get to. Like it's easy. Like
Yeah.
he does this effortlessly. And it's just insane to me how much talent Ricochet has. Um and the Bucks are insane with what they do and also make it look easy. That said, Toa Leone and Bishop Khan looked dominant as hell in the spots
Yeah.
because basically the way the match flow went was like, Perry and the Bucks would get a run on the Demand, and then the Demand would have, a comeback run, and they would just swap back and forth between control of the match
Yeah.
in these spots, like or series of chain spot after spot after spot, and it was absolutely mind blowing. Like there was one point that there was a move done where uh one of the Perry and one of the Bucks are both in the corner, and one of the young Bucks is on the outside holding an opponent between the apron and like by his shoulders. And um the other Buck does like a swanton dive to this guy who's being draped between the apron and the just the floor outside, while Jack Perry is hitting a middle rope DDT, very similar to what we see out of Randy Orton. And we had to watch that over again because we weren't sure where we were supposed to be looking because there's so many spots coming at us at once simultaneously that we're like, wait, what?
Simul spot. Ah!
Yeah. So this is just some of the creme de la creme of AEW, and it's like the second match of the night. And it might be match of the night on a night in Dynamite where there's several matches that are competing for that. Like Moxley and Benjamin, they had a fantastic match to open the show, and later on we'll discuss like some other great matches, including the phenomenal main event. But this match between Jack Perry and the Young Bucks versus the Demand was like right up there. Like I don't know if typically things like match of the year go for multi-man matches or if it's its own category, but right out the gate, these six men are like, well, here we go. Here's your 5, 6 star match of the night.
Yeah.
And it's outstanding. I'm so impressed with the Demand, obviously the Young Bucks, Ricochet, and Jack Perry. Jack Perry showed me some cool stuff.
Hmm.
Like Ricochet, he's been doing this thing where when he's thrown to the corner, he'll do a backflip off of the middle turnbuckle. And sometimes it looks a little weird, like it's not quite so perfect. But he did it against Ricochet, and I guess Ricochet had the right timing and was in the right spot at the right time. It just worked out, and it looked phenomenal because he backflips over his opponent into a German suplex. And it looks good when he can nail it, and he did.
Yeah.
And also out of nowhere, Jack Perry like opened the match with this spear that looked like it was picture perfect. Like it's if you were to look up the spear as a wrestling maneuver in the dictionary, this could be the example. Like he threw a better spear than I've seen coming out of Jay Uso for sure, which is like sometimes Jay's is like this high, almost crossbody slash clothesline.
Yeah.
He fully committed. He dove right for the hips for a double leg takedown, which is how a spear's meant to be done. Like that was a spear that if Goldberg or Roman saw it, they'd be like, "Damn." So it was really impressive, especially since it's not a move we see Jack Perry use that often. So it was really standout, and it was just like a move that he did in the middle of the match, or at the beginning rather.
Yeah.
So yeah, really floored by how good the in-ring action was on this second match. For in-ring, I will definitely give it match of the night. This was a top tier performance from these guys.
It was good. It was real good.
It was rear gird.
Who was that? That was Shivani who said that, right? Yeah, it was. It was Shivani who
I
said it
think so. I think he did.
long time ago. Yeah. Speaking of which, JR was there, guys. Good old JR.
Yep, good old JR. Um, but sticking with this match,
Hmm.
when the match comes to an end, it is won by Jack Perry and the Young Bucks in a very close match. Like um like I said, I thought that the Bucks and Perry were probably going to just overrun the demand. They didn't. The demand really rose to the occasion. So this win felt really kind of hard earned by the Bucks. Um, but it was really good. They end up with a BTE trigger, and then they continue holding um the opponent while Jack Perry does like a boosted uh flying knee strike that allows them to pick up the win. And the Bucks were savvy enough to, keep the demand out of the ring for the pin count, so they pick up the win here. But after the match, the Don Callis family sends out Mark Davis and I guess a newly acquired, going by Jake Doyle now, who
Yeah.
anybody who's watched TNA might be familiar with. He was known there as Jake something, and I don't claim to know a ton about this guy. I just remember seeing Jake something have a match with Joe Hendry, and I was like, "Isn't that Jake something dude?"
Yeah.
And it looks like the Don Callis family is growing and getting stronger, and that
They're
becomes even more apparent with what happens next. Because not only have they acquired Jake Doyle, who seems to be working with Mark Davis in what will probably be at least a tag team
of nightmare proportions.
of nightmare proportions, because that's a big powerhouse team. But while they're attacking, just as Perry and the Young Bucks are starting to kind of get the upper hand on them after they got jumped, the lights go out. And we'll talk more about the lights. There were, if there was an issue with this Dynamite, it was whoever was working the light rigging, because they had a few issues. But here the lights go out, and we're like, and I think I jokingly said it's Sting, or the Undertaker. When the lights come back up, we have a masked assailant in the ring, and I think it took you like a few seconds, but you were like, wait, is that a, and I think you were trying to remember his name, but we figure out real quick that the masked assailant who starts attacking Jack Perry and the
You know
Bucks
what I
is
said.
Andrade El Idolo.
Andradale.
Andradale. And apparently he is back. He is fresh off his non-compete clause, and he is another member of the incredibly stacked and growing Don Callis family.
Yeah, his family is now it's just rude.
Yeah, it's absurd the faction that Don Callis is putting together right now. It is insane. He's got so much top talent and like just powerhouses in his stable.
Yeah, now it's unfair. Now he's cheating.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. We were just speaking about the Death Riders and how the Death Riders didn't really accomplish what they were trying to set out to do, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think they wanted to present like this existential threat to AEW. I think Don Callis is actually building that existential threat to the AEW roster, like with his
Yeah,
Don Callis family being a stable of like 30 people, and a lot of them being top guys like Kazuchika Okada and Kyle Fletcher and
Shinosuke Takeshita.
yep, Konosuke Takeshita, and just more. Like they've got Lance Archer, and we don't see him in the ring for some reason very often, but he's always there as this monstrous enforcer. And now you've got Mark Davis and Jake Doyle, which is just like for people that like the meat match, these will be the guys to help deliver that. It's insane. And he's got Andrade El Idolo. He's also built out like some decent lucha stars in his stable, including Hechicero.
Yeah.
So it's insane the the stable that Don Callis is putting together. And as a heel, Don Callis couldn't be more perfect. Like he is the heel that people will just like. He doesn't even have to be out there. He might not have even made an appearance, and the crowd will just start chanting "Fuck Don Callis," like just cuz. So as a
For
heel,
reasons.
he is priceless. Like I can't think of anybody who's doing better heel work than Don Callis right now. He's starting to get up there with like the Paul Heyman level of it.
Yeah, true. I was just thinking that.
So
Just
on
thinking
top
that.
Yeah, yeah. On top of a phenomenal match, on the end of that, we get a surprise return. I guess it's not that surprising if you've been following on the internet that Andrade finally, finished his non-compete clause, so it would just be a matter of time. Well, the time is now, for Andrade to come back to All Elite, and just a lot happening on this 2026 Dynamite. That was really cool. The return of Andrade. I will say what I said the minute we saw him, though. I hope he really makes this work for him, because he's gotten a reputation of just bouncing back and forth between promotions on a dime. And this dude, I think he's going to need to make this work, because I feel like he's burning bridges with everybody.
Yeah.
So, much like we said of CM Punk, I hope he can make his run in WWE work. I say that of Andrade here in AEW. I hope he can make this run work, because I can't imagine that either Tony Khan or Triple H are going to allow Andrade to just keep bouncing back and forth between them on a whim.
Yeah. That wouldn't work. I don't think that dog's gonna hunt. So hopefully he gets here, he stays here. Just kind of hunker down and make it work.
Yeah, and I just hope it works out. We also see, as Andrade is in the ring, FTR come to the ring, and we were both kind of confused by that. Like, what is FTR's stake in this situation? But we are informed by Excalibur that way back in the day, there's been a history between FTR and Andrade working together. And so, with FTR just stepping out onto the entrance ramp and then kind of stepping back away. Oh, and they were pushing Stokely in a wheelchair, because apparently he's dead from the events of World's End. But hopefully we'll find out what they meant, because like it did, we couldn't tell if it was meant to be friendly or threatening or both, or So, to be continued.
Yeah.
Following the events of that match, we are brought to Willow Nightingale's TBS Championship celebration. And this comes on the heels of Willow having won the TBS Championship off of Mercedes Moné for
Yay.
the last main event of 2025 in AEW. And I'm like, what a good way to cap off the year, is to have Mercedes continue to lose. I'm so here for it. And they know we're here for it. Would you like to speak to the events of Willow's championship celebration?
Yeah, I mean it was just her going out there basically celebrating, but she was also issuing a anyone can get it message to the ladies in the back. Um but she also mentioned Mercedes Monet. She said she knew that she was back there and for her to come on out. So she comes out and she's in full like mourning with her. It's all white. She's wearing all white, but it's like she's wearing like a veil over her face, and she's in she's destitute and just extremely distraught and mourning the loss of her belt. But she comes out to the ring, and Willow like tries to hype her up at first. She's saying that like she's just basically singing all her accolades, but at one point, she takes Monique takes her hat off and her veil, and her hair is disheveled, and she's looking a hot mess, and she just starts screaming, and for some reason that scream cracks me up. so she so she is unhinged, just unhinged, and tearing. She starts tearing up the table. Um, she's not having a good time. I think she starts pushing Harley.
Yeah.
She starts pushing her against the ropes. Uh, she's eventually, eventually, I can't remember how she ended up getting it. I think she ended up getting a move from Willow.
Yeah, she got the doctor bomb.
She ended up getting the doctor bomb from Willow, and then uh running towards Statlander, who had the cake. Um, I don't know if she tripped or if someone tripped her, but she ended up She ended up.
In that situation, yeah. She was pushing on Harley, and then she turned to Willow, and I think Willow pushed her like, don't start that with me." And then she ran at Willow, who then sidestepped, and so she trips
And she ate all the cake. So all her calories for the year,
for the whole year.
for the whole year, she got right then and there. So she's gonna have a very rough year. Not being able to eat anything with any caloric intake. But she ends up eating all the cake. Like she just like face slant. And I have to give it to her for being um a good enough like good enough spirited person to do this, because we all know the stigma the stigma. But I think that she's trying to un-CM Punk herself and be a bit more presentable, be a bit more human to the audience, and I think she's not taking herself too seriously. So I like that. I like that. And I could give her props there for doing that. Um, and taking it all in stride. But it was a pretty fun segment there that ended again with them celebrating Willow's championship.
Yep, with a conga line around a downed Mercedes Monet, because after getting tripped into the cake, she's extra super furious, and it's so hilarious because she looks like an angry kitten covered in cake.
Yeah.
And I think I don't remember exactly how it transpires. I think she attempts to go after Statlander, but she winds up getting a doctor bomb from Willow, and the doctor bomb, Willow picks her up and plants her squarely in where the cake, like the remnants of the cake had landed. So
Oh.
she not only ate the cake face first, but she got planted with a doctor bomb, and she just stays there for the rest of the segment. She's like, "Bark," with like covered in cake, and they form a conga line and dance around her as this segment comes to a close. And I was like, "Oh, this is so good. This is
Ah.
this is how we wanted to see the fall of Ultimone." And I'm here for it. It was such a treat. But I mentioned the lights earlier. There was a point where they couldn't quite figure out what they wanted the lighting to do here, because for a while it was only like half on, so it was like kind of shade. And then
Yeah.
they found their spotlights and started using those. But so yeah, there was some lighting issues on this particular episode of Dynamite. They still come into play even later, especially for the main event, which is a lights out match.
Oh boy.
Um,
They
so
really
yeah,
meant that shit. That's all I was
yeah,
gonna
they did
say.
at first. They were like, "Oh man, they meant lights out for real." Um, so I don't know if that was the arena or if it was AEW's production or something, but yeah, they were struggling a bit with the lights. Um, After that segment, there was a segment, kind of a video package that comes into play here a little bit later. We're reminded that Hechicero gets a shot at the TNT title after beating Commander, and that is followed up with a pre-recorded vignette from Mark Briscoe at his home where he hypes up first Willow Nightingale, and then talks about how he's recovering from his recent matches, and he promises to keep that title away from the Don Callis family, um, intending to reign and defend. And at Collision, he'll defend his title against Hechicero. And we also saw the Triangle of Madness, which is Tekla, um, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart,
Yay, well done.
the
Well done.
Sisters of Sin, and the Death Triangle. Like, they've got so many monikers. Like, what are you guys? Are you the Witches 3? What is happening here? Well, apparently when it's all three of them, it's Death Triangle. And I'm like, yeah, I bet they got death triangles.
Oh no.
Um,
Oh
yeah,
no.
I went there. But
Oh no.
but when it's just oh no. But when it's just Julia and Sky Blue, I guess they're the Sisters of Sin, and they say things in tandem with each other like a witch coven, I guess. But all
Hey,
three
everybody's got to have something to do, right?
everybody gotta have something to do. But all three of them have decided for some reason that they want to challenge like the championship squad that was just in the ring. So they've got a
Oh.
trios match against the women's AEW champion Chris
Hmm.
Statlander,
¿Por qué?
the women's tag team champions in the Babes of Wrath, and that includes Willow's second championship, the TBS Women's Champion. So they're looking at all that gold and they're like, yeah, we want to get demolished. So they are having a match between them and the Babes of Wrath and Chris Statlander in a trios match on the next AEW Dynamite next week. And I'll be honest, I'm here for it. That's actually a women's match I'd love to see because I mean, I know I just kind of made fun of all the names that they have, like Death Triangle or Triangle of Madness and Sisters of Sin and whatnot, but like those six women, I think could actually bring it. And I've been actually pretty impressed with the in-ring work of Tekla. Like she's kind of
Oh yeah,
crazy,
she's good. Yeah, yeah. I think she's great.
and it's another one who throws a pretty good spear.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
But
here for
just
that.
in general, yeah. But her in general, I think she's a pretty solid competitor. And I think was
Well,
soon like as soon as she got to AEW, she just immediately started to elevate the women's division. So yeah, she's pretty neat.
yeah, Tekla is impressive. Sky Blue, since she's been back from her big injury, has been getting better and better. And Julia Hart is just Julia Hart. Like she was on a mad singles push, but then I think an injury took her out. I want to say early last year. Um,
Oh, I thought she had
so
a
yeah,
kid.
did she? I haven't
I
heard,
don't
but
know.
if that's the
Yeah.
case, then so be it. But yeah, I'm here for this six woman match. I think that'll be pretty good.
Hmm.
That said, we are brought to our next match of the night. I believe we are at match 3, which is Bandito versus Sammy Guevara. And we get a quick look back to Guevara challenging Bandito. The only problem is it was a little too quick because Sammy is like evoking like an upset like car salesman. He's like so so over the top with like I'm going to do something so heinous that you're going to be out and I'll be in and I'll be there for the WWE or sorry, the AEW championship match. And like he was just very over the top. Like he almost seemed like a character I would expect to see in like GTA or something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he was so over the top and they showed that part. But we had actually seen this particular interview with Renee Paquette, and
We're
what
waiting
was really
for.
hilarious was that
Yeah.
after Guevara goes completely off on all that stuff and is way over the top, Bandito's like, "Why are you so angry? All you had to do was ask." And it was so funny, and it was such a good delivery from Bandito, and it left Guevara just kind of fuming, and so it was really pretty good.
They didn't play that part though, and I was like,
No,
"No, that was the
no.
best. That was the best part."
But we see kind of those events that lead up to this match that we're having now. And that said, what were your thoughts on this match between Bandito and Sammy Guevara?
Uh, okay. It was not my favoriteest match of the night. I think that had already come and gone with the tag team match and Jack Perry uh and Ricochet and Gay tag like that was to me the match of the night. But this was also a decent match. You're gonna hear that a lot when it comes to me talking about AEW matches.
Old habits, yeah.
Because yeah, because they're all like legit, they're all good. That's why we're here talking about them instead of anything else. Um because they just make you feel like you are 12 years old again. It's, Friday night or Saturday night or whatever, and you're watching your favorite wrestling superstars destroy each other in the ring. Just make you feel like that. And I can say that Bandito is an exceptional wrestler. Uh, I mentioned when we were watching this that they've done a fantastic job with marketing Bandito ever since his return. When they started out with the wanted posters, the booking for Bandito has been really good.
Yep.
They've given him,
Brodito as a tag team.
yes, Brodito as a tag team has been very good. Like they have done everything right with this guy's career and his and like the push that they gave him. Like it was a legit push. It wasn't bullshit. So they had a lot of faith in him, and I could absolutely see why. Sammy Guevara remains a young talent that is probably one of the best in the ring. I'm hoping that he gets more spotlight, more attention on what he can do in the
Yeah.
ring. He's also a pretty darn good heel. He's a pretty entertaining bad guy. He's really fun to
Yep.
hate.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he leans into it, and I appreciate that as well. Uh, these two also worked very well together, but I say that often when it comes to a lot of the matches that I see because I feel like they put together people, especially in AEW. We can talk about booking all day long till the cows come home, but honestly, they put together people that usually work very well together. Um, and I don't think this was an exception to that. I think these two gentlemen looked really good together and they worked very well together. And again, Sammy is fucking insane. Sammy Guevara is mentally unstable. He is not all there. And his baby is probably going to be a little trampolinist too. Um, like
Yeah.
seriously,
When
it's
you
in his
mentioned
blood.
when you mentioned Sammy's crazy, I would just like to reference the shooting star press he did to his
He's
from the top
insane,
rope
bro.
outside the ring to us, like just getting to his feet, Bandito, and
Just
crazy, crazy.
yeah, that
Um,
freaking guy is insane. Uh, I thought, I thought he was gonna slow it down or play it a bit safer, after he became a dad. Nah,
nope.
nah, never that, never, not never. But yeah, overall, this is a great match. Again, not my favorite, but it was a great match. It wasn't bad. Not none of these matches. You won't hear me say any of these matches were bad because none of them were bad. This was a stacked 2 hours of
Yeah.
nothing but high octane matches.
Yeah, fully agree. There was also a part in this match that I found very amusing where they're outside the ring and Sammy has laid out Bandito by smashing him into the announce table. And he comes around and he tries to get the headset off of Shivani. Shivani's not resisting him, by the way. And at first, when he picks up the headset, he looks over and he sees that Bandito is recovering. So he's like, hold on. And he super kicks Bandito with the headset in his hand, and then he then puts the headset back on and kind of promotes himself a little bit, and I think he said hi to JR because he was at the desk, and then he proceeds to like just resume like wailing on Bandito, and ultimately like these two do some crazy stuff to one another. um and it looks like Sammy might be able to get out of it because he flips out of the first attempt at the 21 plex, and we're like, oh snap, is Sammy going to pull this off? But not so much, because then Bandito reverses it back on to him and hits him with a 21 plex for the win. um so a solid enough match. I was really happy. I agree with you. It's good to see Sammy back on Dynamite. I know he's been doing some stuff in Ring of Honor, and that's cool, but I'm glad to see him back on primary AEW television. Um, I think he is a great young talent. I think he's a good looking guy. He's got that star power. He can speak very well, and he can deliver as a heel. And that is before we even get to the fact that he is crazy and willing, a lot like Darby Allin, to do damn near anything to get over in AEW. And
Yeah.
he'll, if there's a crazy spot to be done that Darby Allin doesn't bump somebody out of the way to do himself, it would be Sammy who goes next. So
Yes.
yeah, definitely one of their top young guys. Um, but after the end of that match, we end up with Maxwell Jacob Friedman making his way to the ring, and he has some dude in tow with him that we come to find out is his translator. Um, and what happened next is just hilarious
With him, yeah, with
because
the guy. Yeah, yes, go, go, go.
with the translator, because MJF comes out and he basically introduces Jonathan Cruz as his translator. And he goes on to say some stuff about how he respects Bandito. Um, and the reason his translator is there is that he doesn't want any miscommunications here. And he talks about himself and how, while Bandito is very, very good, MJF has actually been the world champion of CMLL and is quite possibly even more of a lucha superstar than Bandito is.
Oh my
And they
god.
stop and they have Jonathan Cruz translate all that. And my Spanish isn't great, but I picked up some of it. And the translation was more of a paraphrasing, but for the most part, he just did repeat what MJF said. And then they go on to a second round of that where more or less MJF says, look, I've won the Dynamite Diamond ring like 6 times prior to you winning it. You know that ring doesn't belong to you. So here's my proposal. I pretty much want you to hand me that ring and give up any aspirations you have about a championship match. And in exchange for that, MJF promises to put over Bandito with Tony Khan and have a pay-per-view match with him in maybe like 5 or 10 years. And he says, that's a great deal. It's a pretty good deal. And when Cruz goes to translate that again, Bandito just puts his hand in his face, like the most talk to the hand maneuver I've ever seen. Like he almost like palm struck this guy in the chin. And so Cruz is taken aback, and Bandito grabs the mic and he turns to MJF and he says, I can speak English, you stupid son of a bitch. And it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And they end up MJF is kind of taken aback by this, and he proceeds to just straight kick Bandito in the nads. And then Cruz tries to
That's
hold
his
Bandito.
go-to.
It is MJF's go-to. That's like his actual finishing move. And then Cruz tries to hold Bandito up for MJF, and Bandito ducks, so MJF just absolutely blasts Cruz into the floor. And it's the most satisfying thing because he's like, this is the guy. This is like MJF had brought out an accountant or something. He's like that lawyer character. Sterling, I can't remember his
Oh
first name,
Lord.
but
Yeah.
like he's the guy that you want to just see get destroyed, and he is laid the fuck out by MJF. And then MJF is like, oh no, I destroyed my buddy. And then he turns around and Bandito straight kicks him in the balls. And also after having kicked Bandito in the balls, he relieved Bandito of the Dynamite Diamond ring that was on his finger. So Bandito, after laying out MJF with the nut shot, also ends up recovering his Dynamite Diamond ring. And I think there was I may be getting the exchange a little bit wrong because I think Bandito ends up 21 plexing the life out of both Cruz and MJF before the end of the segment.
Yeah.
So, not only was just with a few simple words like "I can speak English, you dumb son of a bitch," not only was that amazing, but we have MJF putting over Bandito by Bandito getting both Cruz and MJF with the 21 plexes. And I think immediately following that, you said, "Oh, he's definitely not winning the
Yeah, he's
championship."
definitely not winning now. No, ain't no way. I mean, I knew he wasn't because it's like his first defense, and I don't think they were gonna do that to MJF. I think he's gonna be around with that belt a lot more this year, so I don't see him losing it uh that early. But that solidified the fact that he's definitely not going to win the belt.
No, because he was up on this promo spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had mentioned earlier that like they gave a good solid push to Bandito. I think he's still in the midst of that solid push. Clearly, this was MJF, like one of, if not the top guys in AEW coming out here and putting Bandito over.
Yeah.
So I think they're way up on Bandito. And to be fair, Bandito has risen to the occasion. Unlike some other folks we'll mention here in a little while, but Bandito has been an absolute treasure. Like what a hidden gem to come out of 2025.
Yeah.
Um the rise of Bandito through like you said, those, you know, when he came back and they were doing those wanted posters and vignettes,
Mhm.
to the absolute breakout popularity of Brodito with him and Brody King, him doing the Macarena in the middle of matches. Uh, Bandito is on fire. He's got a rocket strapped to him and he's just heading straight for the top.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. Like, because Bandito is absolutely the exact type of wrestler that would be completely lost in WWE.
Yeah, cuz I mean, look at Penta.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
about it.
Penta and Ray, who were
Look at
like
Ray.
main eventers in AEW, are like being
Huge
relegated to
stars.
mid card in
Yes.
WWE.
Yeah, now they're just added bonus. Yep.
Well, and part of that is that they can't leverage a big part of what got them so over is that they were insane in the ring, and you just can't be insane in the ring in WWE, and that is a huge problem. Um, I think it's a bigger problem than WWE is willing to acknowledge, and it's why some of these guys can't get over. It's also probably why Ricochet couldn't, because Ricochet is insane here in AEW
Yep.
and extra bald, like triple bald. There's other
Yeah.
bald people in the ring, and he's the baldest.
Yeah, he's more bald
Um,
than they are.
he's balder, a balder Ricochet. So
Voldemort.
I I am impressed, as you mentioned, with the push and the rise of Bandito throughout 2025, and as it seems to be the case, continuing into 2026. Because he is a talented guy. He's very good, and he's got elements of comedy. He's like a total package wrestler, and this guy would just be completely lost in WWE because they don't really know what to do with lucha guys, and they sure don't know what to do with guys that are under like 6'4". So
Yep.
it's good to see. And here you have MJF putting over Bandito. Um, that would be a thing unheard of in WWE. That would be like them trying to have Roman Reigns put over Akira Tozawa, or something along those lines, and you would just never see it. You would never see them
Yeah.
use
Ain't
their
never gonna
talent
happen.
in that same way.
Nope.
They clearly would keep the tiers separate, whereas AEW doesn't. Everybody's on the roster. Everybody
Yeah.
can get it anytime with anybody else. Um, After that, and kind of relevant since we were talking about Brodito, we get a vignette from Brody King, who shows us that he sings some of his own, like, I guess, death metal music. And he makes the point that when you think of big guys, you think of these loud, screaming, crazy folks, which is kind of ironic because he's loud and screaming as he's doing his death metal on stage. But he makes the point that I don't have to scream to get my point across. And, they show him talking in a very metered manner. in low tones as they're showing you images of him absolutely bodying people in AEW. So it's like, message received, big man. Um, so I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And we are reminded that if Bandito manages to succeed and defeat MJF for the AEW World Championship, Brody King has the first shot after that.
Oh
Um,
man. No, thank
which
you.
which would be very intriguing considering the kind of long-standing friendship. Like, how would that endure, for this championship? Um, but I have a feeling you might be right. Like, I'd be real surprised. Not that it couldn't happen, because AEW can be surprising, but I would be surprised if they if they took the belt off of MJF so soon. Um, but after that, we are brought to a women's match, which is Timeless Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. And this has been kind of an ongoing feud between these two, either one on one or with their preferred tag partners, the Timeless Love Bombs, which is Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, or I'm trying to remember the team name of Marina Shafir and Megan Bain. I think it's something like the big problems, or something problems,
Yeah, something like
which
that.
is a play off of Marina Shafir's moniker as the problem.
Yeah.
That said, would you like to give your thoughts on this match between Tony Storm and Marina Shafir?
Uh yeah, it was I am not a huge fan of Marina, okay? I think that especially when she first stepped on the scene and they put her in the ring, I felt like she was like a very strong cup of coffee. In the sense that she was very jittery and not very uh what's the word I'm looking for? She didn't seem like a very stable opponent. Like she felt like she was kind of all over the place, and that kind of thing gets people injured. Um, but in this match, I'm gonna say that this is probably the best I've seen her perform. Like the more she works with Tony, the more she has matches with her and Megan as tag team, the more she does this, the better she looks. And I think that was probably the best I've seen from Marina since she's been in the ring in AEW. She looked
I could,
good. What?
yeah, no, I could agree with
Oh,
that. Um,
yeah. She looked good. And I think Tony did a great job of making her look good, of assisting with this, like assisting with her looking better than she has ever. With that being said, if there was a like worst match of the night, it was probably this one. It was still good, and I'm not saying that it was like, you know, it wasn't bad, but it was probably not like it would be, as far as my favorites are concerned, one of like it would be the last match. I mean, it just would, because there were these things, there were these times where Marina was doing it like she was dancing with Tony, and it just
yeah.
looked goofy. It was goofy and rhythmless, which is unfortunate. It was unfortunate. That's what I'll say. Um, and it just, I mean, they looked kind of awkward those points, and I even remember going, "Please stop," when she when she was doing it. Like I was watching it, and my spirit just got tired. I'm like, "Please, please stop doing this. You have to, Marina. You have to." That and her finisher, Mother's Milk, is dumb. Um, it's very dumb. Uh, and I mean, if she were heavy chested, maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe because then I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. Because it's supposed to be like a smothering type thing, and
Yeah.
you smothering who with what, baby? What you doing?
Aw.
Um, I'm not. I don't mean that. Like she's not like flat chested, right? But I can't believe that move would work on anyone who has teeth. Um,
Right? Wouldn't they just bite their way out?
because she's not pressing. I promise you, she's not pressing them into her chest hard enough that they are gonna pass out as quick as they claim to pass out, or they won't be chomping on her chest to get her to let them go. I don't know.
Well,
So it's just it's not my move. That's all I'm saying. But overall, this was a good match. It was good because it made Marina look the best that she has looked since stepping into the ring. And and Tony is Tony, right? So she she is probably one of the biggest names in AEW, I think. And for some reason they don't really mention her much when they talk about people who are like the leads in AEW.
oh, clearly, yeah, Tony Storm.
Yeah,
Tony
but
Storm is absolutely at the top of the pecking order in the women's division,
yeah,
like
she
hands
is.
down.
I would take her out of the women's division, and I'll just say that she's one of the top stars in AEW. But people just don't seem to give her accolades whenever they're talking about the top stars in AEW. They go Will Ospreay, they go MJF, they go Kenny Omega, and they're not wrong. These are huge names. These are the top of the top. Hangman Adam Page, but Tony Storm is right there. Like
Yeah,
she's
I
right there with him.
I agree. I think there is no better character actress than Timeless Tony Storm.
No, no, no. She's
Her rise
amazing.
as Timeless Tony Storm, specifically that character turn, and the stuff she did with Mariah May is the stuff of legend. It's unfortunate that Mariah May is now Blake Monroe and not anywhere near as well utilized, I don't believe, in my opinion. But yeah, Timeless Tony Storm is one of the best pro wrestler like characters and performers in AEW, hands down, easily.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly agree. Um, that said, I would like to talk about the problem for just a moment, and what I
Yeah.
mean by that is Marina Shafir.
Mhm.
When we first saw her, it was back in like I want to say 2022, 23. They were promoting her as like former MMA and leveraging the fact that she is actually friends with like Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
And I feel like where the Death Riders has not been great for say like John Moxley. Like I'm pretty sure we went over that earlier. Like we're wanting John Moxley to return from the Death Riders. The Death Riders has actually presented Marina Shafir with probably her biggest spotlight and character arc that she's had. She isn't
Yeah.
just MMA girl. Um, she is Marina Shafir of the Death Riders. She's the problem. They've given her her own identity and they've really solidified it. Whether you like it or not, it is a character that she is. It's the best character she's had since she's been with AEW.
Mhm.
And I'll say that I felt like this was an all right match. I do agree that it's probably one of the best showings for Marina Shafir, but she still, like, she does this Tiger Fang head scissors thing. For those that aren't familiar, I'll call it the 619, but when you do that spin through the middle and top rope and kick somebody is a Tiger Fang kick. That's its name. And she does that spinning into a head scissors that she then likes to try and turn into a DDT onto the apron. The problem is that I've seen her do this, and probably out of 4 times that she's attempted it, she's screwed up 3 of them, and tonight was no different.
Yeah.
She tried to do it here and she missed, and then just ended up, I think, kicking Tony Storm instead of trying to follow through with it. And we made fun of the fact that Excalibur was like, "Well, she didn't catch all of it." Yeah, she didn't catch any of it. You know what I mean, dude? That's a polite way of saying, "Oh, they fucked that one up." Um, and this is my issue. that I have is that I see that AEW is put her in this good spot. She's been given this character. She's being presented as a dominant, like, be afraid of me force. And then she gets in the ring, and that's where, like, we end up with the disconnect because she's not selling us on it in the ring.
Yeah, she's apparently only
Um,
good against men because they can't hit her back.
right, right. So my issue with the problem is that AEW's giving her a big spot. They're giving her a lot of spotlight time, especially with this Death Riders thing. And I really just need to see her rise to the occasion with her in-ring performances.
Please,
The
yeah,
other thing you pointed out was like she was attempting to mock Tony Storm with the dancing thing, and instead of it being kind of a good mockery, it felt off because Shafir apparently doesn't have any rhythm whatsoever, so
yeah,
it just looked
stiff.
awkward.
Again, the same critique that I would give her for her moves in the ring, I'd give for her dancing, like whatever that was. It was very stiff, and when you're that kind of stiff and rigid and unwilling to go with the flow, that's how injuries happen. Now, I know you're not gonna get an injury most likely from a dance, but that energy, that vibe, that's what she does when she's in the ring wrestling as well. So it goes hand in hand, man. She's so like stiff and unyielding, and that's not what you want to be when you're in the ring with somebody else.
Yeah. And so really for me, I think Shafir is positioned in every way possible to succeed if she can just bring her in-ring work up to snuff, which is, I mean, it is a high bar. You're in AEW. Everyone's expected to be able to get it done in ring. Like you don't get a free pass to suck in ring as if you were in, I don't know, WWE. Um,
Yeah,
so that's really the biggest spot that I would love to see some improvement from. And she is getting better. I will give her that much props. We're just not quite there yet. So I feel like for the push she's getting, she needs to improve to match those opportunities that she's being given. Um, but yeah, she is getting better with each match, so perhaps she'll get there. I just hope she manages to pull it off sooner rather than later. Because I mean, think about how big of a spot this was for Marina Shafir. Like, I guess you could say she's kind of a top card act because she's part of the Death Riders, but she's in the ring with a legitimate, like, top of the card star like Tony Storm.
yeah,
And this is what I'm talking about when I say, like, it's really cool that, like, the guys who sit at the top aren't kept in special reserve and only for special occasions, and there's certain opponents they'll never face because they're the mid or bottom of the card, so they never get to even look at one another.
yeah,
Like, I've watched Hangman have a match with Lee Moriarty, who I would suggest is like if you're bottom card in AEW, you're mostly working in Ring of Honor while they get you up to scratch, right? And I would say, without being too mean, I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but I would say Lee Moriarty is a bottom card act if we're being real honest. And he had a match with fucking Hangman.
yeah,
So here you have the equivalent in the women's division, which is Tony Storm having a match with Marina Shafir. And all I'm saying is I need Marina to rise to this occasion. It's the same criticism I'm giving to Jade Cargill, for as high of a position and a spot as, like, she's got the look, she's, relatively okay on the mic. It's her in-ring that needs to work well. And I'm not speaking to that for just a second, and I don't think it's too bad to sidebar over to WWE because we had sidebarred to AEW when we're talking about WWE in the past. When we look at Jade Cargill right now, she's the women's champion, and all she's doing is squash matches, and unfortunately, they seem to be leading to injuries. Like, I just need you to get your shit together in ring because you've got everything else going for you. Marina Shafir also has the look. Like,
yeah,
she's relatively jacked. She isn't Cargill jacked, but she is jacked. She looks like she stepped out of fucking Mad Max or something, and she looks half feral. That said, if you can deliver that in the ring as well, then you've got something here. And I think AEW is trying to get her there and trying to see that, and she's just got to fill those shoes.
yeah,
So I'm hoping for her. I say all of that rooting for them. I'm always rooting for them to get there when I give these criticisms. Similarly, I'm thrilled to see, like, say, Raquel Rodriguez, who we were very critical of with the way she was being used and how she was treated in the ring. I'm thrilled that she came out and annihilated Stephanie Becker. This is what we came to see. This is
Yep.
what we were hoping for. So we are ready to be your fans. You just have to let us love you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's what I'm hoping for out of this. That said, this was an all right match. It was probably one of the better showings from Marina Shafir, even with the botch on her Tiger Fang head scissors DDT. Um, so that said, ultimately Tony Storm is able to overcome Marina Shafir.
Yeah.
Or rather, I should say she was about to, because she hits her with the big package, and then Wheeler Yuta just overtly grabs the ref out of the ring. Like,
Yes.
just yanks him out of the ring. And this, of course, leads to an immediate disqualification. So Tony Storm is like, wait, what happened? And then the Death Riders start, beating up on, or at least allowing Marina Shafir to beat up on Tony Storm, when Mina Shirakawa runs out and gets laid out by Shafir
Immediately. Like she just
instantly, like one big elbow, and she just tumbles and lands on top of Tony Storm all dramatically.
Oh, I was laughing my ass off.
And then it looks like the male members of the Death Riders are fixing to step in, and that's when Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong show up. And I want to say Marina Shafir like spits at Roderick Strong, and Roderick gives her a look like, "Don't make me beat you like I actually beat you at home." For those who don't know, Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir are married. So it's an interesting little conflict whenever they're in the ring against one another. I feel like I'm watching somebody's foreplay go down.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
should we come back? Do you guys
And
need a
then
minute?
so they get run out of the ring, and then out comes Claudio, who like charges to the ring, jumps over the barricade, and then stops right at the ring stairs. Like, he doesn't get in. He's like all big in the britches, and then is like skirt, and then they just all turn and go away. So that was interesting. I definitely agree with you that I feel like Claudio is becoming like the de facto leader of the Death Riders, as John Moxley is doing more of his own thing. So I'm really curious going forward to see like if there's a rift that ends up developing there, or what they're going to do with the Death Riders. I think that's the big open question of like what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
But winner via disqualification, timeless Tony Storm on what was an okay match, but probably one of the weaker ones on the night.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then after that, we see Pac, the Bastard Pac, who I believe is getting interviewed by Renee Paquette. And she, of course, is asking, well, hey, Darby wants a match with you. What do you say? And he's like, well, I'm not interested in obliging Darby's demands. And then Darby Allin comes out, who was on the warpath, and finds him and starts saying, give me this match, give me this match, give it, give it, give it. And Pac is like, no, I don't exist to accommodate you. Why don't you kiss my ass? And he starts to try and walk away, and I think Renee Paquette is trying to follow him, but then I want to say Darby Allin like starts unloading a fire extinguisher on Pac. And
Yes.
then rams him into one of the cargo doors, which puts Pac on the ground. And then he drags Pac over to another door that's half open and threatens to slam the door on Pac's leg, breaking it if he doesn't give him the match. And so he manages to blackmail a match out of the Bastard Pac before the rest of the Death Riders, who were just previously at ringside, make their way there to try and like save Pac. And Darby's already run off. He's like, I got my match, bye, holla. And I was like, oh, okay, that was interesting. So we will end up seeing the Bastard Pac versus Darby Allin after all. And I don't know, do you think Darby's going to win it this time? Because
I
Pac
do.
made a good point. They've met twice and he's won both times.
Well, he sort of won both times. The last time that he had a match with Darby, he wasn't going to win, so he cheated. Um, so I don't. That one doesn't count for me. Like it doesn't count for me so much so because I mean he made such a big deal about being the better wrestler,
In-ring
about being
performer, the better
yes, about
pure
being
athlete.
that's right, and he got his ass purely beat, and
He couldn't get it done.
and then he wants to yeah exactly, and then he wants to do exactly what he was expecting Darby Allin to do was use some sort of gimmick or some sort of cheat to win the match. So for me, that match doesn't count, and I think him not wanting to have another match with him kind of a realization for Pac. I think Darby Allin is gonna beat him. He's gonna beat all. I mean, hey, Marina can get some too.
Yeah, then he will have collected everybody but Marina, and I don't know. Will they go for that one? Will they push that envelope? Like now he wants the final one. He's like, I gotta collect them all, give them all.
Yes, and then
So
he's the true leader of the Death Riders.
right then, Derby becomes the leader of the Death Riders. Oh, so insane. Um, But after watching Darby Allin blackmail Pac into a match, we're finally brought to our main event, which is a lights out, unsanctioned match between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. Now, there's a tag team we never thought we'd see ever,
Never, ever, ever.
versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook of the Ops. And this is comeuppance time, especially for Hangman, but like literally all of them. Like Swerve's got some pieces to hand out too.
Yeah.
And heading into this one, just to offer my thoughts, this was an insane match to main event Dynamite for a couple of reasons. It was slightly insane at the very beginning because they made it very clear that the lights are going to go out, and when they come back on, whatever happens next is not AEW's responsibility. It's completely unsanctioned. The problem is that the lights went out and then they didn't fully come back on for like 5 minutes into the match. Or it seemed that long. Maybe it wasn't
Yeah.
quite that long, but it was a while. We were like, are these lights ever coming back on?
No, I think it was about 5 minutes. I think you're right.
Because we did get like either like shade lighting, which is kind of what they left Willow in for a portion of her birthday celebration, or not birthday celebration, her championship celebration. And then we got spotlights, and we're like, this isn't gonna work. I mean, we're looking at this with like the cameraman right at ringside. I can't imagine anybody who's sitting like 3 seats deep can see what the hell's going on. Fortunately, they did get the lights back on before too much transpired, and then the match that came after was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Um, cinder blocks and all. This ended up being a match that would typically be a pay-per-view style match. But for AEW, apparently it's just Wednesday night.
Right? Just
Um,
it's just Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a very hard-hitting match with some nasty, nasty spots and staples to sensitive areas. Rip Powerhouse Hobbs' ability to have kids. Um, and Powerhouse like fully world's strongest slamming. I think it was Swerve on like a pallet of cinder blocks, and then later Hangman hitting the Deadeye against Powerhouse of all people. Like this is a 300-pound man, and all I could think when I saw it was, "Oh my God, poor Hangman's knees," because he dead-eyed him on the cinder blocks, and I'm like, the only thing that died just there truly was Hangman's kneecaps,
Yeah.
and then we end up ultimately with like a hanging at the end of the match. It was absolutely crazy. This was an insane main event. Um, and like I said, Hangman and Swerve is the tag team we never thought we'd see and didn't know we wanted so much. They were
Yeah.
absolutely stellar together. So that's my thoughts on this main event. It was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think I have to basically agree with everything you just said here. Um if this wasn't like if the tag team match between Gates of Agony and Ricochet and Jack Perry and Young Bucks, if that was not the match of the night for me, this would be the match of the night for me. Crazy spot there when they had the chain around each other, and Hangman essentially flipped over Swerve to get out of it, and then they use that
Oh yeah,
chain
yeah.
to clothesline. Like it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, and of course, Hangman and Swerve work together like peanut butter and jelly, man. Like they are so good to see together. This was fantastic. This whole show was literally dynamite. It was.
Yeah. And so ultimately, to kind of close up how the match went, um, they end up with Hook in the ring because Hook tries to pull a fast one right when like shortly after Hangman dead eyes Powerhouse Hobbs. And once they get their hands on him, it's just over for Hook. Like him versus Hangman and Swerve just wasn't going to work in his favor.
Yeah,
And after I want to say a very punishing house call from Swerve Strickland to a chained up Hook, Hook gets thrown out of the ring and literally hung by Hangman by the chain for a submission victory. And Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland pick up the win. Fantastic main event, seriously. And
absolutely.
and these are two of the guys that everybody came to see. I mean, no shade against Powerhouse or Hook. I absolutely love those two guys too. But phenomenal. And that said, we arrive at the end of the night with credits rolling with Hangman and Swerve celebrating in the ring. What was your review of this episode, this new 2026 first episode of AEW Dynamite?
I'd give this at least an 8.5, 9 nicknames, man. I mean, it was fantastic. Like I compared this to watching a PLE or something along those lines because it was that level. And for them, for AEW, it's not. It's not to them. This really is just like a normal Wednesday night. But they just, I don't know. I don't know. It was fantastic.
So top tier.
Top tier, absolutely. 6 matches in 2 hours. Come on, thank you, please and thank you.
Actually, I think the match count ended up being five.
Oh, five
Um,
matches in 2 hours. Please and thank you.
yeah, yeah, and these are five decently sized matches. Right, like none of them were like a 2 second squash match that was shorter than the wrestlers' entrances to get in. Like they managed to
Yeah,
pull off their time management skills are so much better than like what it seems like WWE is able to do in three. That said, from my review, AEW is showing us what top tier wrestling truly is, and Dynamite to ring in 2026 was absolutely top tier. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 neck nubs.
yeah,
Their regular television is better than other promotions' PLEs, and it looks like that's going to continue to be the case through 2026.
yep,
There is absolutely a reason they nearly swept Sports Illustrated's Pro Wrestling Awards, and they're setting the bar higher for what fans can and should expect from pro wrestling. They also seem to be extremely focused on being the best pro wrestling in the industry. And for my money, I think they're succeeding. And that's why we're
yeah,
pivoting to covering AEW.
yep,
Uh, Without getting too into it, I feel like AEW is very focused on trying to be the best pro wrestling company. I'm not sure what WWE is focused on being. The most expensive company, the cross promotional commercial masters, Netflix's new baby. I don't know what they're trying to do, but wrestling seems like an afterthought to them these days.
yeah.
So that said, that's been our review of AEW Dynamite, the first of 2026. And I want to thank everybody who joined us for this episode. And I invite you to join us for our next episode, where we should most likely be covering AEW Collision. Until then, there's not a lot left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.